Okay, let's just do a quick show of hands. How many of you have had someone close to you pass away? How many of you have done something that you actually didn't want to do, but you did it anyways because that's what society expected of you? If you could multiply that feeling by a substantial amount, you would know what it would be like to live life as Sophia has. And this is what I believe Anna Castillo's main point is in the book So Far From God. She portrays the hardships and laborious lives that exist in a majority of ethnic American cultures. In the book, she covers a few points, which would be the Latino patriarchal system, the difficulties of both men and women, the need for rebellion, and the difficulties one must endure to realize that rebellion is necessary. In view of patriarchal society, Sophia got abandoned by her husband, but later forgave him, and through the whole time, she never divorced him. This was because divorce was frowned upon by society, and she, in other words, she gave up her personal satisfaction for societal acceptance. In another example, all of Sophia's daughters were used and duped by men, and in the case of Caridad, they were even left to die in the streets. However, when we read the novel, we think a lot about how women were put down in society, but we also forget about men. Men too are somewhat victimized as well. In the case of Domingo, his addiction to gambling costed him his wife's home, his property, and eventually even his wife. And to some extent, this kind of illustrates the lack of education that exists in many ethnic American societies such as Tone. To illustrate the need for rebellion, we can look at Sophia's life. I think that the need for rebellion was one of Castillo's main points here, or in other words, the need for change. Sophia was weighed down by her husband, and this resembled the need for change. She realized this after he gambled away her home, her business, and practically everything she had. Another thing that weighed Sophia down was also her daughters. She had to take care of them, and this required her to sacrifice her own time, and therefore she had less time to dedicate for her to achieve her own personal goals. And however, later in the story, she escaped from society's traps and gave more importance to her personal satisfaction instead of what society expected. And after she did this, she proved to be extremely influential in society. She improved the water systems in Tome, she built a hospital, she provided a memorial service for children, and eventually even became a mayor. And also, the novel also depicts the difficulties one such as Sophia have to go through to realize that change is necessary. Sophia had practically lost everything she had, which, as I said, her home, her husband, property, or even her job. And the thing that was most valuable to her, that were her children. Only after they all died did she realize that she had to change and rebel against society's norms. In conclusion, I believe that Castillo wrote this novel to communicate to people how unfair and difficult life is among ethnic American cultures, and people must rebel to overcome it. If people can rebel and create a change in society, everything can prosper substantially. However, to do this, it requires a lot of sacrifice, as we can see in Sophia's case. She had given up a lot to finally achieve it. And this somehow illustrates the force and power society has over the individual.